Добрый день.
Hello, dear participants of the Financial Congress of Kazakhstan. You are welcome to the panel session that is called The Current Trends in Insurance and Development of Insurance Culture. First of all, I would like to congratulate all of you with the upcoming holidays, and I would like to introduce all the participants of the panel discussion. Zhanar Zhubaniyazova is the chairman of the board of Halyk-Life. Oleg is the chairman of Kommesk-Omír. Linara Anuarbekova, chairman of the board of the State Credit Bureau. Dauren Imanzhanov, chairman of the management board, NOMAD Insurance, and Dmitry Nadirov, chairman of the management board of the European Insurance Company. First of all, I would like to mention two global trends that we're all seeing now, not just in our country, but all over the world. The first trend is the digitalization and the implementation of new technologies. And this is something that we're seeing in all areas of our life. And there are also some successes reached in the sphere of insurance. And as for digitalization, we have interaction between insurance companies and their clients. So it has to also take care of all the spheres of the industry, which didn't fully happen in Kazakhstan yet. The second global trend we'd like to note is that in the whole world, there's a very individual approach to every client. So taking into account the client's lifestyle, their habits, their needs, and therefore all the products are already designed for specific clients. And so taking all of this into account, we would like to talk about a specific topic of digitalization as a factor in the development of insurance culture. I would like to talk a little bit about our sector first, to mention some numbers, and to say that despite the pandemic, our sector has actually managed to retain its paying ability and financial stability. In the last 5 years, the assets have doubled here. Insurance premiums are growing, but still the penetration is quite low if we compare it to developed countries. So we've prepared this slide that will show the penetration level on the population's assets. As you can see, on the one side, we have the GDP per person in USD, and the second one, we have the penetration level. And so there is some sort of correlation. So we're doing a lot of efforts together in order to try and encompass more of the population. We are developing various products so that the penetration takes into account not just quality, but also quantity. And in this case, of course, it depends on the insurance culture. We understand insurance culture as, first of all, how does each member of the society, how well do they know insurance products, and how much of a need do they perceive as having for this, and whether the population has enough assets, a car, a house, a family that they would like to insure and that they would like to take care of into the future. So if they do have, they will want to insure them in the future. Unfortunately, though, we also have people in our country who only have enough income to just cover their current needs, and they only live thinking about today. But our goal as the government and as the insurance companies is just to describe all the advantages of insurance and try to popularize all of our products. Because of this, I would like to start our speeches. What is insurance culture? And our first question is to Zhanar Adilbekova. How do you understand insurance culture? What do you think it is, and what can we do in order to improve the insurance culture here? Dear journalists and our participants in the hall and online participants, you're all welcome. The first thing I would like to say is to mention my colleagues and my colleagues in the financial sector. I would like to congratulate you all with the upcoming holidays. Thank you very much for inviting me to this session. And would like to talk about the insurance culture of our population and the financial culture of our population. Recently, we've seen that a large number of population, 7% of our population, insure themselves on their own, but the other 93% maybe have to be educated on the advantages of insurance policies and for themselves and their families. Because right now we're only mostly selling the types of insurances that are mandatory. Right now we can try and explain the advantages of insurance through online programs. Of course, because of the pandemic, there has been a big shift to the online, to doing things online. And I'm here on behalf of a life insurance company, so I'd like to talk about us. We have switched many of our programs to online. And we're trying to switch our programs to the online sector as well. As for bank insurances, this is not something that we're developing in very much in terms of online bank insurance, but we are trying to switch to online as much as possible. And as in trying to answer to your question, I would say everything is ahead of us. The developed countries might be insured at the rate of like 90% or more, whereas in Kazakhstan, the rate is 30% mandatory and only 7% voluntary. Why is this? First of all, because we have to try and deliver the advantages of insurance to our population so that they can understand them. The second thing is it has to be available online and easy to reach by the population. And the last part, third part, is if there is some sort of a force majeure situation, a difficult calamity, and when people see how the insurance policy works in this situation, then they'll be more likely to insure themselves later on. And if we're talking about different kinds of insurance, life insurance is not currently mandatory, but if there's a government program that says that in this particular situation you have to be insured, then it would also increase the number of insured part of the population. Now I also have a presentation. It's in Russian language. I would like to show it as well. I'll keep speaking in Russian now. In the current situation, we're understanding that the pandemic has made a push. There has been a catalyst for the growth of digital technology. Insurance market has not been has also been a part of that. It might not go as fast, but we're still trying to switch our products to the online sector. A lot of work is being done in this. We're actively pushing our products into the online sphere. Many companies have created online mobile apps and online cabinets for their clients. There's a remote format that's available. We have chatbots being implemented and other ways of remote access for our clients. And thus, we're showing our clients that they can reach us without having to come in person. They can talk to an insurance agency and company remotely. The main trends of digitalization are new models for businesses. We all understand that there are new online products. They are becoming more and more available. So in our insurance companies, we have moved to online specific processes in terms of documents. We're trying to use advanced analytics and data processing, and we're trying to create and use international digital marketplaces. What expectations do we have? We assume that the digitalization of the insurance sector will lead to whitening of the insurance market. There are insurance companies that offer everything online, but we do understand that there's something specific about this, and the digitalization will lead to this as well. We understand our expectation is that digitalization will lead to the optimization of certain bundles of services that our clients will be able to purchase, because having intermediaries does increase the price for them. We also understand that digitalization will lead to the adaptation of insurance products so that they can help us keep customer demand without increasing costs. I just talked about the insurance culture level. Like the moderator has said, this is a sort of benchmark that we can use to evaluate our population's well-being. The more we have voluntary insurance programs used, the more we'll understand that our population is growing. Right now, unfortunately, we see that our insurance culture is quite low. Perhaps this has to do with the fact that our population is taking care of their needs for food, education, and to have, for example, a car. And only when they have some sort of additional finances, discretionary income, then they start thinking about insuring their lives. As for negative specificities of a low insurance culture, first of all, we understand that the behavior model is like this. The population thinks the government should help me. I pay taxes, or maybe I'm just a citizen, so the government should always help me in all aspects of my life. So we see a kind of this prism of thinking in our people. And there's also a slightly higher priority for the insurance of assets. We see that there are some forward moving in these areas where people want to insure their physical assets, and we see that at workplaces there's also insurance, and we're seeing that there's a shift towards voluntary insurance in this. As for financial education, we understand that in order to use various financial instruments or trying to use them, some of our population have ended up as part of financial pyramids, or they're afraid to do so, or some of them don't even trust the insurance institutions. And we understand that, first of all, there has to be trust. When the population has more trust towards insurance companies, that they will pay up if they need to, that they do cover whatever they're insured for, then their financial level will grow and their insurance culture will grow as well. As for the level of insurance culture in Kazakhstan, I briefly mentioned that the financial education level is quite low here. The population is not very informed. We're even at the level where insurance agents have to go by foot to schools, to other companies, and just they have to sit in front of the client, like face to face, and explain to them what insurance is, how it works. So that's the level of our insurance culture currently. Especially in villages, in outer regions, outside of the cities, there's a lot of work to be done in this that we are doing. And so we're hoping, though, that step by step, our insurance culture will keep growing. As for various events to do, we think there should be more online events to educate insurance culture and insurance education level. And because the insurance culture level is quite low, many clients might, when choosing, they might not be fully aware when choosing among different insurance services, because some of them might be voluntary, some of them might be pushed on them. And for example, whenever a client is getting a loan in a bank, they do purchase an insurance because it's pushed on them. And to sum up my today's speech, I would like to say, in our hands, especially the population that uses insurance voluntarily, that think about their future, that think about the future of their children, with their example and through promotion, information systems, government instruments, it is important to deliver to the population the importance of increasing insurance culture. Because I'm even afraid to ask how many people in this hall right now are insured. Because if I did, I think that would show the level, apart from speakers, of course, because they might be more aware. And this would demonstrate what's happening on the government level.
Thank you for your intervention. I would like to introduce our next speaker. And our next speaker, I would like to congratulate you on this great achievement. And I wanted to find out what would be your opinion on the relationship between digitalization and insurance culture of the population. Thank you for inviting me. I would like to congratulate you on this International Congress of Financiers. I would like to congratulate all my colleagues. And we are at the point of celebrating the independence of Kazakhstan. I think this is the greatest holiday that we can have in the country. And I think during the last 5 years, if I were to move closer to the topic of our discussion, I think we made a great deal of progress. If we were to compare the situation we had with the situation we had 5 years ago, and we did see some progress, and now people are very aware what they need insurance for. And us as insurance companies, we are like guides. We are helping people. And we would like to have the situation where the happy majority helps to compensate the misfortunes of unhappy minority. And I must admit that life goes on. If it did not happen for pandemic, I think the pandemic would have been needed to be invented. And I must say that we should take a great deal of credit that alongside with our regulator, we managed to launch the electric e-insurance policy, and we did see the breakthrough thanks to the fact that we managed to complete it back in the year 2019, and everything is happening online. And this is revealing the fact that this is the trend for the future. And we must not forget people of older generations who are still based on their old habits, they are not internet users, and maybe for them it represents a challenge, and maybe it doesn't fulfill all their needs. But we must also look forward, because for the next 5 years, if we see each other, let's say in 5 years at the next Congress of Financiers, we can state that for the next 5 years, the digitalization, this will be a main component, big data and digitalization. If we could please put my presentation. And as I said before, and we are as old as our independence is, and for us it's also an important milestone, because we love insurance. And I think if we didn't love what we do, then we wouldn't be doing what we are doing. And this is the sector, this is the sphere of human activity that is hard to understand, especially for financiers. I think even among financiers, not everyone understands well how the insurance works. And I would like to talk about the culture and the next trends that we're seeing. This is the individual evaluation. As for the applicant, that means that we should move away from general propositions that we offer to our clients. It's important that people receive a personalized recommendations, personalized tailoring, so to speak. And these are the trends worldwide. This is what people got used to, and digitalization pushing us towards that. And we can also work with the scoring models when it comes to auto insurance, and this is what we should reach in Kazakhstan. And I think we could reach this level even faster than individual tailoring. And we've got the compulsory insurance for car owners, and I think all the amendments that we are lobbying in our parliament, I think this will allow us to have more room for creativity, so we would be able to apply scoring models depending on the behavior of our clients, and this is very important for us. And I think this will also improve us when it comes to the justice towards our client. And we also would need to pay attention towards preparing individual proposals. And every client deserves the product that the client needs. And unfortunately, as I said before, not everyone is got the insurance because it was their decision, and we would like more people like that. And we realized that insurance, it's not the most basic need. Maybe it's, if we were to list the priorities, maybe the insurance would be probably one place before last when it comes to priority, and we would like to raise the importance of insurance. And how can we do that? And one of the ways is to use various technologies such as Internet of Things. And we are all carrying gadget. We've got cell phones, we've got smartwatches, and we're able to track our health using smartwatches. We're able to track our whether or not we're in a good shape, what our mood is, and we also could be using big data. And we know that we know practically everything about our clients. We've got an awful lot of information. However, we are not good at using that information yet. And maybe because since we didn't reach the level where we offer individual contracts, and maybe we also lack the understanding what should we do in order to perform, in order to become better at tailoring, and gadgets that would allow us to gather data. We could be talking about smartwatches, we could be talking about sensors that track the quality of water and how much water is consumed, and gathering information about our applicants, about our clients, and let's say what their social circle is, what they do in their lives. And this is very important if we were to talk about life insurance, and this is the data that we would need. And we also would need to pay attention to digitalization of business processes. We would need to evaluate the risk of our applicants, and we also could become better at performing when it comes to online sales. And if we were to look at the websites, let's say there are at least 5 products that are available that can be bought directly from our websites. The auto insurance, insurance for tourists who decide to go abroad, and insurance for people who would like to cover insurance for their goods, for their assets. Go online and buy it. It's easy, it's fast, and it's straightforward. And we also need to pay attention to regulating the particular insurance cases. This is what we need to do with our regulator. We got to make sure that this business process is straightforward for our client, and we got to make sure to give them ability to do things remotely. And I think everyone got used to the fact that they can order whatever good from home, that they can pay for delivery, and let's do that. Let's do something similar with our clients. And last but not least, we must optimize our business processes. We got to make sure that all the paperwork can be done online, and we should also use e-signature more often. And I think our main goal is to facilitate things for the client, well, we got to make sure that there are ways to identify, to make sure that we're talking to the right person, and then from that on, let's make things simple. And what are the risks? And the risks are potentially the so-called P2P, peer-to-peer platforms. And let's say they're not ruining the business for Facebook or for Airbnb or to any other big player. And in theory, we could have a similar platform where clients would be able to organize themselves. They could create a foundation, they pay premiums to that foundation, and from that foundation they might also receive some payments. And this is the future that could potentially disrupt the market, not only in Kazakhstan, but also overall in the world. And we must prepare ourselves for that. And last but not least, we need to talk about regulations, because we're talking about financial market, and we got to make sure that we're able to protect clients' rights and freedoms. Therefore, one needs to obtain a license to do that, because one cannot simply come up with a product and to offer something and not to assume any responsibility. And such products, such peer-to-peer platforms, they could represent a big competition for us. And we need also to talk about the risk of classical, quote-unquote, classical insurance companies. If we are not able to track the trends, that means the worldwide market can enter the Kazakhstan, and we reached an agreement with International Trade Organization, and we must make sure that we increase our competitiveness level over here. And we got to make sure that we fulfill all the needs of the clients, that we are marching together with global trends and digital culture. We must prepare ourselves for future changes. I want to see the situation where 50% of our users, let's say in 5 years, I want to have 50% of our clients to purchase insurance online. And we must realize that we also have needs. And alongside with our regulator, we're having a great dialogue. And one of the things that I would like to highlight is this hope. I hope that they will allow us to invest in various IT companies. And in case we've got some budget, and in case we've got some venture funds, it would be impossible to offer a good digital product without cooperating, without acquiring IT companies. And there must be a way for us to purchase, to acquire IT companies, and to attract best specialists from those companies. And at the end of the day, our clients will benefit from that. And in 5 years, overall, the insurance company will increase, and we will not be accounting for less than 1% of insurance premiums. We got to make sure that we account for 1%, 2%, 5% of average person's budget. And this is what we strive for. This is what's happening overall, worldwide. And we got to make sure that we raise the awareness so our clients are aware of the fact that they would need to save money for their pension, and they would need to spend and have a better time while spending their vacation and enjoying the money that they saved. And yeah, thank you for your presentation. And this was a very rich in terms of content, and we must slowly but gradually, we must work together in order to reach all those goals. And we have the next speaker, Nazym Leonidovich. And as one of the representative of one of the biggest insurance company, what is the role of technology when it comes to development of your company, and when it comes to development of this sector overall, and when it comes to overall raising the insurance culture? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to actually apologize in front of the organizers, because my colleague and I have prepared a presentation on insurance culture, but yesterday there was an event that made us change the format of my speech today. So I think I'll leave this beautiful slide be, but I'm not actually going to use it, because I want to tell you about one very interesting and fresh recent case that I think shows the idea of the importance of digitalization. First of all, I'll let myself give you a little bit of the backstory. What determines the importance and the scale of any idea, concept, or project? Perhaps how this project, concept, or idea is developed outside of the framework that's been created for it by the creators. How did the internet develop? Internet at first was a communication tool between universities, and nowadays it's this amazing tool that lets us upload TikTok videos, watch photos of cats online. It's kind of outgrown itself. Telegram. Telegram was created as a protected messenger, secure messenger, but nowadays it's a whole ecosystem that allows the users to create a whole world around them. This includes bots, for example, bots that actually can be used to sell insurance products. It's also channels, for example, Telegram channels that can be used by companies or private people to communicate among themselves. In pharmacological cases, this is also something where an idea that was created outgrew itself, but because of legal reasons, we won't even talk about this today. So yesterday, we realized that in the insurance market of Kazakhstan, there's also a new case when an idea has outgrown itself. With the use of regulators, the market, or rather regulators with the help of the market, have created a very effective instrument that allows us all today to do online insurance and the unified insurance base that is connected to the government base and helps us sell policies online. And so insurance companies, they have a web application form, every insurance company has it, that lets them, using this unified database service, to use it in order to sign an insurance policy. All of this works well together as a system. And so, as for the information that we get back from this, there's a WIN code. All the car owners know about this. This is a VIN code that every car has an individual code. And so using this web application form is quite normal. This is a tool that exists and that is necessary for our daily communication with our clients who are insured. This is a service tool. This is not something we have to promote online and that people need to know about. This is something that we use internally for ourselves. So recently in Kazakhstan, a service has appeared that lets you use the VIN code and check the history of a car. So this service has been launched recently. It works successfully. And so we've encountered the fact that our web application form has been used by this service in order to attain this VIN code. So this is an altogether different story. Our account has not been used, but this form has. So I would like to reiterate that the information that came from the unified database is not personal data. It's the car make, the code, and so on. So it doesn't have any personal information that did not contain. Nonetheless, we have to note that our regulators of this unified database, when they started receiving lots of requests using our account, so they paused our account and we tried to find out what's happening. And when we conducted our own investigation, we realized that our employee authorization has been used without our allowing it, so not fully legal. So this service was using our account in order to check the insurance history of cars. And what can we take out of this story? What is the message here? I would say I would like to thank the database for their very fast reaction to this anomaly that they noticed, and because the unified database controls the data that belongs to our insurers. I would like to say to everyone who works in this industry, our clients, you may rest assured that our unified database workers are on their feet and they're looking, so you can rest easy. Second thing I would like to say that this important function that's been put into this database has outgrown itself because it had kind of started a life of its own. So the platform can provide insured people with services that we didn't put there as part of the framework when it was created. For example, checking cars is an important tool that helps people to clean the market because people will know what they're buying. This is not something that absolutely has to be here, but this is an additional product that we could actually sell additionally as part of our services. Of course, this case kind of annoys all of us because these functions have been used without us being notified, without the regulators and the database being notified. So it was kind of a gray area. It wasn't completely honest. But if you think about it, if you go deeper into it, then you can realize that we can offer to our consumers, we can offer more than what they use today. This is one of the offers that we can make. This is something that just appeared yesterday, and I'm sure that if people and if the professionals and non-professionals of the insurance market, that they all have many ideas how the digitalization can be used for good further. Of course, we all should think together, how does the exchange of information, how can it be built so that that there is not even a tiniest thought of personal data being leaked without being leaked illegally. And so, of course, this is something that we need to work on. And another moment that I'd like to voice when speaking of digitalization. This might be slightly unrelated to insurance culture, but it does relate to the fact that today the system works in a way that even such global risks as the pandemic are not affecting the financial market so much. Nowadays, we're used to being able to buy everything on the internet, and so the insurance market is also part of that. But let's imagine that what would happen if back in the day the regulators and the participators of the financial and insurance market did not invest enough into their IT platforms, because we were not able to go into our offices for a month last year. But despite that, the work did not stop. Everything was flowing. All the signatures that need to be done on the insurance policies. And so the way system is built, that even with this huge global pandemic and the risk, we managed to continue going. So this is something that makes us very happy. But speaking of digitalization in the wider sense, apart from the risks that Oleg has named, such as the Uberization, there's also a risk that digitalization in the global sense is leading to an increase of anchoring. This is a social class of people who have temporary work, but it's continued. And so last year we've seen that employees of, for example, such companies as Glovo and World, they were protesting on the streets of Almaty because the conditions of their work did not fulfill their expectations, did not match their expectations. So is there this risk? Do we have this risk in the insurance market? I think there's something that this is something we should discuss. I guess this is not something that we do have in our market, because the implementation of insurance services in Kazakhstan did not affect people, so that it didn't so happen that someone who was on this market would lose their job. So in this sense, the digitalization on the insurance market has been good. But if any of our colleagues disagree or might have other opinions, we could talk after this panel discussion.
Thank you very much. It indicates the fact that we acknowledge digitalization as one of the key elements of digitalization, and we are very aware of the potential that needs to be capitalized on. And we must also realize that there is this fixed concept on digitalization. We described thoroughly how we see digitalization, and each and every company makes and puts their own effort as far as automation of business processes goes. And we have Mr. Dauren Kazimkhanovich, and the question to you, we know that you accumulated a great deal of experience when it comes to automation of business processes. Please share your experience. Good day, dear colleagues. I would like to congratulate everyone on the forthcoming professional holidays, and I would like to congratulate our listeners. digital technologies will be used in all the insurance processes, starting from the client experience and ending by the experience of the insured. And nowadays we've got the heavy usage of internet, and many people use gadgets, especially when talking about younger generation. And digital century led to the fact that we have the explosion of data, of various data. And as we digitalize more and more processes, our specialists will gather more and more information about our clients. And by doing so, while gathering all the information, we will be able to come up with concrete proposals for our clients. And today, our colleagues from abroad, they already create the artificial intelligence that allows us to moderate and to mitigate certain risks. And in Kazakhstan, we already have the practical experience of implementing the so-called artificial intelligence. And insurance people, once we know more, once we are more aware of clients' preferences, and by having some personal data, we will be very aware of what the client's needs are, and we will be able to provide personalized product and personalized contracts for our potential clients. And the ability that we've got, the data that we've got, this allows us to serve the client 24/7. And nowadays, thanks to the changes, and we've got certain databases, and we've got voice over IP, and we've got also Internet of Things, and insurance market had changed, and many things will depend how well insurance companies will be capitalizing on this potential. We can have the last scenario, and we can reach certain heights. It can take a lot of time, and we can also adopt another approach, and that way we will see great changes on the insurance market. And we know how pandemic affected everyone, and we know how pandemic affected the minds of many of our citizens, and it did cause an explosion of orders when it comes to delivering groceries and delivering clothing. And I never bought clothing from the internet store. I mean, it was so much easier for me to actually go to the grocery store, and right now we're using this actively, and we got used to that. And now the very idea of going to the store or going to the restaurant may be a little bit strange, because it's so much easier just to order things online. And in that sense, we have a lot of potential to be capitalized on. And if we were to look at the international experience, we see that the segment of the insurance sector is growing. And in the year 2020, I think the percentage of the insurance when it comes to developed market, it reached 5.7%. So we see that starting from the year 2009, we see this curve, and we see this good-looking curve for our business. And when it comes to the premiums, sorry, because I've been skipping this slide. When it comes to the premiums per capita in developed economies, we see that $2,700, which exceeds the same figure for the year 2010 by 35%. And you can see how well we grew during the last 10 years. And unfortunately, when it comes to developed markets of Central Asia, and we see the average premium $119, and it only grew by $4 if we were compared with the year 2010. And here we see the premiums as a percentage towards a GDP. And we see that the developing markets, they are showing not particularly strong digitalization trends. And if I were to mention the countries such as China, Brazil, they are demonstrating a good growth when it comes to digital insurance. And I think for China it's very clear. And if we were to talk about Kazakhstan, here we have such an interesting watermelon. And starting from the year 2011, we see the active growth of internet sales, and this is something natural, and it does affect the degree of digitalization in our country. And I think a large percentage, and I think we managed to see great changes when the pandemic occurred. And here we see the contribution of the states, and we are very aware what government did. And this was indeed a great breakthrough when it comes to this sector. If I were to talk about eGov or EPF, and I think we all use it, and we can use it directly from our computers. And I think, as it was mentioned before by my colleagues, I wanted to express my gratitude to our regulator, and that alongside with the market, we managed to modify our legislation. And I think the fact that we can do so many things online, and this compulsory insurance that we've got online, I think this is the great breakthrough when it comes to our insurance sector, and this is a source of impulse for our sector as well. Because if I were to compare the percentage of our automobile owners that were insured, I think 75% was at the beginning of the period, and 1 year after, that figure reached 90%. And if I were to talk about psychology of our citizens, I must say that if I were to talk about compulsory insurance for vehicle owners, many people aware of the fact that if the policeman would not stop them, that means many car owners would rather drive without having an insurance. And once we had a number of cases, and now we see the situation that allows us to identify which car owner, based on their number, based on their state-given number, there is a way to identify a vehicle owner who is driving without having an insurance. And when one is driving by the policeman, one risks a great deal if one decides to drive without being insured. And I think for many car owners, this was a big incentive. And I wanted to talk about the experience of our company. I think that our company made a great breakthrough when it comes to digitalization. We've got many projects, and if I were to talk about personal account, what we did for our clients, and this is a great opportunity to sign contracts, to purchase insurance policies, and the clients of our company, they can access their individual account, and they're able to track their history for many years. And if they were insured before by our company, there is a way to see how many premiums they paid, and there is a way even to access images from the accident place, and they can track all the correspondence with the party that has to pay the insurance to cover the expenses, and every information can be sent and received in real time using the personal account. There is a way to do the evaluation, and the system is connected to our CRM evaluation system that identifies the person who is evaluating the case, and where that person needs to go to, and how this damage will be evaluated, and everything can be done so quickly. And it takes a very little time until the moment where a client receives all the information, all the evaluations, and there is a way for a client to agree or disagree with the figures that they see. And in case clients agrees, there's a way to finalize the deal very quickly. I have not seen something similar on our markets, and I do think that this is a great breakthrough. We also, I think it was 1 year ago, we launched another product that states the policy for homeowners, and that can be bought within 4 or 5 minutes. And if someone decides to go for vacation, and there is a way to access the website of the company via mobile device, and there's a way to put their address and to insure the apartments, and one can choose whatever risk, and depending on the risks one chooses, then there is a way to see how much premium one would need to pay, and there is a way to track how big premiums would be, and also depending on the duration of the insurance policy. One can purchase insurance policy for 1 month, and this is very convenient. And this is what we started to do. We started selling. I think people are not particularly aware of that, but we would need to launch some sort of a large-scale promotion so our population would be able to see the advantages, and so many people are not aware of that. And we're already having some premiums, and this is something that I wanted to talk about. I think this is something new, and I think no one among my clients would be able to take credit for a similar offer that we came up with an offer on NOMAD agent platform, and every Kazakhstani citizen can become an agent. One can go through the testing, one can go through the educational training process, and everything is available online. Everything is clear. We've got the video. One can also learn via text, and one can learn all the nuances of the legislation. Everything is done on our NOMAD agent application. One can make a living, one can have a full-time job, or one can become a full-time NOMAD agent, and one can make a living only using this app. Our agent is not to promote actively compulsory insurance for car owners. Our main goal is to raise overall awareness, to teach people, to teach agents how to sell the voluntary insurance policies, and we would like to raise overall culture, and we would like to raise an overall awareness, because in any case we will have the situation that the voluntary policies are not particularly doing well, and compulsory policies are selling well, and we would need people who would be convincing others to insure their vehicles, their apartment, or their house. And I would like to add a couple of points that 1 week after, right after we launched this app, I think we had 11.5 thousand downloads, and 5,500 persons are, let's say, full-time, not necessarily users, but people who are, let's say, learning full-time on this platform and who are performing this activity. I think 150 agents already applied to become an insurance agent, and our goal is to raise the awareness, as I said before, and we would like to reach the situations so that many people would be able to download this application, and this will increase overall insurance culture in Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation. That showed us a lot of information, different perspectives in terms of personal information. But yes, it is true that insurance agents are the providers of insurance culture, and without insurance agents, we will not be able to increase the culture of insurance without agents. Dmitry Nadirovich, since you are here to represent a life insurance company, and this is quite a specific area of work where actually individual approach is used a lot to each client, could you share with us your opinion on how to improve the insurance culture and digitalization? Thank you very much. Thank you all. I congratulate everyone with the upcoming holidays. I hope that the financial sector will be fruitfully developing further, and I think, yes, insurance industry is the industry that's fully interested in the well-being of their clients, because the absence of insurance situations actually improves the well-being of a company as well. Now I'd like to start my presentation, and yes, actually answering your question about insurance culture. Today, we've seen the criterions to evaluate it. It's the penetration into the GDP, but also a density of direct insurance divided by the number of people in the population. So direct insurance, meaning insurance that was purchased without an intermediary. Today we've talked about penetration, and we've said that penetration and direct insurance is quite low here, and we could say that insurance culture needs to develop further. Today, we could say that the insurance industry here is developing with the help of these segments or channels. First is the compulsory insurance, corporate sector, through banks, and now developing investment insurance, including pension annuities. So these are the drivers of the insurance sector. And as we see, there is very little direct insurance in these sectors. And so when we talked about insurance culture, we talk about the insurance culture of our customers. And this is a question that's been discussed for a long time and has been developed. And you see this phone on the slide. It's as old as this phone. So this is not something I would like to spend a lot of time talking about. The criteria of insurance culture development are shown on the slide, but I would like to focus on the last one, the trust into insurance companies. So because if we ask a regular person, we'll see that they have negative opinion in terms of insurance premiums. They say it's very easy to buy a policy, but then it's very hard to get paid using this policy. That's the belief. And so as part of the insurance culture, it's important to actually start with ourselves. And what this means is trusting our clients. First of all, this is something that we call as when a client is in the center of the business model. Unfortunately, oftentimes, the profit is in the center of the business model, not the client. So it's important that the client is. And also, the ease of use in the terms of insurance. Oftentimes, it's very hard for a non-specialist, non-professional to understand the terms and conditions. Because nowadays, if we try to explain these terms to a regular person, it's quite difficult to understand. And also, the next one is the ease of signing a contract and also canceling the contract. It's important that people know how to do this easily. And of course, shortening the times necessary to get an insurance premium. So I think if we concentrate on these items, I think then insurance culture will develop in our country. As for digitalization, most often when we talk about digitalization, we talk about online sales. But of course, digitalization in insurance is more than that. If you look at the various segments that comprise the insurance business, first of all, it's the insurance product itself, then it's the sales, the administration of insurance contracts, the administration of claims, regulation, and evaluation of various situations and analysis and statistics. All of this is part of the insurance company, and all of these segments need to be digitized. And then we can talk about a full digitalization of insurance business. And as for technologies that were used today by my colleagues that are used for digitalization, it's of course the big data, it's artificial insurance, machine learning. So when a machine is able to analyze data itself and see tendencies, Internet of Things, we see that creating various equipment that can evaluate insurance situations. For example, if there's a device at home that can detect a gas leak or a water leak, for example. And also personal health gadgets have been mentioned as well. These are some things that can evaluate a person's health and be part of the insurance situation. And the next thing is, of course, the involvement of the person in the insurance process. Digitalization, of course, influences insurance culture, its new channels of sales, the ease of signing a policy, the speed of it, including other services as part of the insurance. We know that electronic banking and other digital trading platforms are developing, and so they can be part of these services. And of course, the access to international markets and a better analysis of data for insurers. There's a lot of statistics in the insurance, but there isn't always enough resources, good expertise, and good statistics that need to be analyzed. Samples of digital products. Colleagues have shown theirs, and this is another example when a person can choose their insurance premium in the app. I'm trying not to use any professional jargon. On the left side, we're seeing an app that shows not just the sales, but the insurance payouts. And so a person can see how much they use of the available amount. And a client can, for example, upload some checks from some medical services, and then they can get paid by them. And as another example is an insurance when an air flight has been delayed. Usually, without digitalization, it will look like the top part. When there's a flight delay, you have to go to the air company, you have to get a piece of paper confirming a delay. Then you send this paper with some sort of application form to the insurance company, and you await a payout. But when it's digital, what happens is the insurance company is already connected to the flight database, flight data. So if there is a delay, a client doesn't need to even get involved. The insurance company knows about this automatically and will send the payout to the insured person. You can see there's quite a difference there, and this can also influence the insurance culture. And of course, the international market keeps developing. We see various startups here. These are startups of technological insurance in the world. These are the best ones. And also on this slide, we see global investments into startups specifically. So apart from insurance companies putting money into their own digital development, we also see that in the last 10 years, $24 billion have been invested into startups alone. And we see that the investment rate is growing, and the amounts are also growing by 19%, the amounts. And so in this table, we can see numbers according to years, how much was invested into startups. And the blue circles show us the number of contracts signed. And as you can see, half of the year 2021, we're only at the half-point part. It was already the same as last year. And so what are the challenges for insurers related to the digitalization? Of course, resources are needed so that they can be developed and invested into development of IT systems. I think this is difficult for insurers, but also into their stakeholders. The next one is building long-term relationships, because if you look at all the current startups, they're all targeted at development of trust with their customers. They have a lot of payouts. Most startups are actually not even profitable yet, but what they're doing is they're working on getting a trust from their customers. And the stakeholders of these startups, they understand that these are long-term projects, and these stakeholders, when they invest into digitalization, they have to understand that this also has to be with a long-term perspective. And of course, there shouldn't be an expectation of immediate profit. It's also long-term. And last but not least, it says, yes, preparedness to wait. And so as for expectations, I personally think that the market is not staying in one place. And if shareholders in regular model, they just get their profit and they don't think about their future, but I think the future of digitalization is quite suddenly will actually reach us. We're seeing this happening already in the banking sector, and the banks are kind of trying to catch the wave now, trying to digitalize very quickly. I think the same might happen to insurance companies as well, actually. Thank you for your attention, and if our audience members have any questions, these are my contacts that were quickly removed. Actually, yes, thank you for getting them, showing them again. So you can ask questions if you want.
Thank you. And yeah, digitalization is not something that is happening online. It's not the payments that are happening online. I think the last intervention, Ms. Dinara Almantayevna, we want to share your opinion on the prospects and on our future steps. when it comes to this long road towards digitalization. Good day, dear conference participants. Please put the presentation on the screen. The Governmental State Bureau, as you know, this is the element of the chain between the regulator and the insurance market. And one of our main goals, one of the objectives that we pose to ourselves, the objective is to develop the culture on the insurance level and to reduce the risks that may occur. And I think we had a great presentation by Nazym on one of the risks. And you know very well that what's happening on the market and what we are observing these days, this one way or another, it has to do with the fact to what extent the digitalization is taking place over here, to what extent we've got the ability to operate with numbers, to operate with data, and to build technologies based on that. And here we've got several figures, what we've been doing, what we have at the moment. And since the moment that it was created, we've got more than 120 contracts, we've got more than 15 million of subjects, and we've got more than 11 million of vehicles. And those are the small portion of the data that we work with. And we suppose that our database that we're trying to fill regularly, we hope that this database will be developing, and we hope that our overall insurance market will be able to create products so that the data that we need for our market, we got to make sure that we have access towards that data, and we keep that as a historical data, and we got to find a way to store that data. And since the fact that at the moment we've got some products that we are coming along with, so these are the figures that we wanted to show you on the screen. This is the dynamic that we had since the year of 2019, where we've got the situation where the insurance was available for all the market, 5.2 in the year 2019, 5 million of contracts in the year 2020. We all know what happened, and we expect 5.5 million contracts for the year 2021. And the project, and I will allow myself to talk about this project, I think this project is mature enough, and I think our market is also mature for this project, and this project will allow us to reduce expenses for our evaluation people, and this will allow us to reduce expenses for our clients, for our citizens. We're talking about the Euro protocol, and we are still discussing the project. And if this project is accepted the way it is being discussed now, and if this project gets implemented the way we suppose that this project should be implemented, how the regulator demands, and we hope that this will be also convenient for our users. And I always keep in mind whether or not this project will be convenient for my father, who is 70 years old, and to what extent the interface will be convenient. And we also have got the online regulation of insurance payouts. We got to make sure that these payouts are transparent. We got to make sure that we also strive for the confidence on the part of our insured people and the transparency of our payouts. And we would like to play our role and as an operator, and we would like to allow our insurance institutions to implement this project in remote mode. And here are our plans for the year 2022, what our colleagues already mentioned. And in order to reduce the risks, we must do the scoring process, and by the second quarter of 2022 we hope to offer such products. We hope to create the personal account for vehicle owner for every driver, and we would like to publish insurance policy as a digital e-gov document. And for the third quarter, we hope to come up with the anti-fraud project. And I think each and every company tries to evaluate this project differently. And since we can track the history, since we can track the demand for this project, we would be able to offer such product at the market. And colleagues were talking about the ecosystem. And I think for insurance companies, we have this situation. We've got this possibility of building the ecosystem, and not only banks will be able to build such an ecosystem, we will also have insurance companies trying to build similar ecosystem as well. And the database that we have and the data that we already have, this will allow us to create an ecosystem that will be developing around the insurance company. And as a conclusion, I would like to state that voluntary insurance and the growth of voluntary insurance policy, this will be a great indicator of overall raising and overall growth of insurance culture. I would like to thank all the participants. I would like to thank all the listeners, and thank you, colleagues. I think all the colleagues presented on and spoke and touched base on very interesting topics on what the market currently offers. I think in reality our market has a wide range of interesting products. Maybe not each and everyone is using this project. However, the fact that everything is moving online, that everything will be available remotely, I think this will allow us to raise this market, to see this market growth, and we would like to participate in this process. Thank you. And yeah, Dinara and Montana, those were my words. And I think yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for participating in this panel discussion, and thank you for all the materials that you provided. This was very beneficial, and I think we will be seeing each other more often. We will be sharing our opinions, and here one starts to realize what problems are, what challenges are, and maybe we shall find a way to solve those issues. I wish success, everyone. Thank you very much, and goodbye. We'll see you soon. May we shall stand up, or